welcome to Storyboard. This is Shibani Gharat. As we ring in the new year, in this special episode of Storyboard, we are bringing in some of the best conversations that we have had in the year gone by. First up, we have our conversation with Sir Martin Sorrell. London headquartered WPP is the world's largest communication group. Till April 2018, at the group's helm was Sir Martin Sorrell, who helped build the agency into a global force and turned Wire and Plastic Products PLC into WPP. Earlier this year, after he was accused of personal misconduct, Sorrell quit WPP, but the 73-year-old Sorrell didn't stop there. Sorrell then went on to set up S4 Capital. In fact, S4 Capital is focused on the $200 billion digital content market. That's the word that came in from advertising tycoon Martin Sorrell as he outlined his vision for his new venture in an interview with Farah Bukwala Vora. Listen in.
Today, we're in conversation with advertising tycoon Sir Martin Sorrell, who's now the executive chairman of S4 Capital. So, welcome.
You've got the executive chairman, right? That's fine. Good.
Lovely. So, welcome to India. And
Good to be here.
I'll straight away get into our conversation. From stepping down from WPP after a stint of about 33 years to now setting up S4 Capital, what have the past 8 months been like?
Well, I mean, they've been pretty hectic. I mean, at some levels, they've been... The advantage is I have a clean sheet of paper. The disadvantage is I have a clean sheet of paper. The advantage is I don't have any of the legacy or the weight of the past. Some of those decisions I made myself, it's true, but I'm not weighed down by legacy business. The disadvantages of having a clean sheet of paper is that I don't have the scale. So we're operating on a relatively smaller scale. And I mean, we've gone from a standing start. We injected a company called Media Monks, which is a content company, digital content company, into S4 Capital and then injected it into a quoted shell called Deriston, and we changed the name to S4 Capital. We now have a market cap of about $400 million.
That's right.
With the deal that we did with Mighty Hive, which is in programmatic media planning and buying. So we have, at S4 Capital, we're a purely digital operation. The industry in the world is about $1 trillion, about 500 billion in old stuff and 500 billion in new stuff. In the old stuff, digital now is accounting for about 40% of the market. So we're really focused on that 200 billion in the old stuff that is becoming digital, much more digital content, some of the new stuff as well, but principally on that 200 billion. And we have 3 areas. And I looked at the WPP portfolio when I left, and I said, you know, where is the growth? Digital content. First-party data, that's data that tells everybody what you and I do in terms of buying products and services or media consumption habits. And then last but not least, digital media planning and buying. I mean, what I'm really interested in with S4 Capital is how can we create a truly differentiated model? We're not here in India.
Are you planning to?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we'll either do it by not a big acquisition, a small acquisition, or merger with a small company, because we're creating a unitary company, no earn-outs, no sort of taking minority investments or even majority investments. What we want to do is create an integrated whole. Can
you tell us a little bit about the kind of company that you would be eyeing?
Well, we're very focused on those 2 areas I mentioned. Obviously, data is so data analytics is part of it. But the 2 areas are digital content. So you've seen, you know, there are some agencies here in India, for example, that are small agencies, but have grown pretty quickly. People have either peeled off from a traditional agency, or they have digital agencies. They've created digital agencies with themselves or partners. That's one area. And then media planning buying is not as sophisticated, I think, in the programmatic area yet. That'll come.
So, Sorrell, I would say that you've ruffled up a few feathers by publicly stating your concerns about how WPP is being run.
I'm a shareholder, though. Am I not entitled to express a view?
Of course.
Are you suggesting that I shouldn't?
No, not
I shouldn't express my. I want to get the record straight.
Absolutely. So you've been quoted as saying that WPP is a car crash in slow motion. And quote unquote, and you've also said that WPP is becoming too London focused under new CEO Mark Reed. Would you say that you still have friends in WPP who would agree to those concerns?
I know they do. I know they do. Well, the car crash was mentioned. One of the executives at WPP, one of the design companies, said that we referred to us being a speck in the mirror, you know, a long way behind. And I just made the riposte that, you know, if you're in a car crash, that speck does tend to catch up with you much more quickly than you thought. So that's one thing. On the way, the style of management, and I think it is a really important one. I mean, when your largest account is in review and you criticize the creative capabilities of your colleagues in America, and the client then announces the result of that view, as a result of that review, the contributing factor to losing part of the business was the lack of creative prowess in America, you sort of shoot yourself in the foot. So, and I do think, you know, we're traveling. I mean, here we are talking about India. I don't know whether Mark Reed or any of his senior management since he's been appointed, or even as they've been joint COOs, have been here to India. To my knowledge, they haven't. India is a very important. India is probably, maybe with the exception of one other market I can think of, Vietnam, our strongest, I'll say as a shareholder, our strongest market share. Now, I think it's important to come here and...
Today, S4 Capital is a small speck in the universe, but you've been quite vocal about your ambition to sort of take down WPP.
No, that's going too far. You've been very modulated, now you're going too far. Nobody's ever said that. We refer to WPP being a peanuts. You can't compare the two. I mean, we're totally different. We're a purely digital operation, very focused on the content, very focused on the data, very focused on the media planning and buying. That is totally different to where WPP is.
Do you ever think about buying back WPP?
Do I ever think about it? No, I haven't thought about it, actually. I mean, that would take an awful lot of money. An awful lot of money. That would have to be a big syndicate deal if you were going to do that.
We'll wait.
Just do the maths.
Oh, all right. So
if you have anybody you know who's interested in backing that idea, we can see. We can talk about it.
Moving on to another old hand at WPP, sometime back, Ogilvy's chief executive worldwide, John Seifert, announced his agency would be undergoing a restructure, which he dubbed as the agency's next chapter. A 39-year veteran of this agency, John was visiting India a couple of months back, and we spoke to him about the new structure for Ogilvy and what Sir Martin Sorrell's exit from WPP meant for Ogilvy. He also spoke to us about what will the future look like for this agency and how are they keeping David Ogilvy's vision alive. Let's take a look. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you.
So let's start with something new. You created a new structure and purpose for Ogilvy. What were the factors, in fact, that you took into consideration while creating this new structure for the agency?
Well, we really did it. We started with clients. Clients wanted us to be simpler, less fragmented. They wanted us to work more collaboratively with them. And they wanted to get the best of the agency, from creativity to client service to production to data and analytics. They just wanted it to come together far more seamlessly. And we had become, over time, quite fragmented. We had many different brands in the agency to define all these different capabilities. And so we'd really kind of lost touch with what clients were asking of us. And so they are the reason that we're really, we've completely rethought and redesigned the agency structure.
So it has been a couple of months since this whole restructuring and redesign. How have clients taken the whole restructure so far?
Well, the good news is we're winning new business. So we're winning clients now on the basis that they see that we can serve their whole brand needs. So not just brand strategy and advertising, but everything that goes into their marketing and communications that ultimately leads to a sale or to a higher level of reputation. So clients have been very responsive. It's worked in new business, and current clients are now much more interested in talking to us about how we can reshape ourselves around their very dynamic needs.
What about the employees? How have they taken the new structure?
Well, most of the employees, so I'm in India for 2 days, and I will tell you it's one of the most inspiring visits I've ever had. Because initially employees thought, well, I'm going to lose something, I don't manage a P&L, I'm not in control of my own part of the agency. Everything I saw for the last 2 days was a group of people who were finishing each other's sentences. They were working together, they were highly collaborative, and there was a sense of team like I've never seen before. So my sense is that once we get over that sort of initial period of this is different, I'm not really certain if I'm going to personally like it, once they experience the changes that clients show in the fact that it serves them better, employees will get on board.
So, we are often seen asking this question to a lot of brands and marketers, that what was that marketing problem that made you make that structural change or the change within the campaign or the strategy? To you, if I were to ask you, what was that problem that made you restructure, what would that be?
Well, I think it was we were just too complicated. So clients were telling us that we were too cumbersome, that we were too slow. They didn't know exactly who did what. They didn't really understand the totality of our offering. And so I think the single simplest way to answer the question is we were just too complex. We were confusing our clients. And in a way, I think we were losing business as a result, because they were starting to find either specialists who they thought could do things that Ogilvy couldn't, or they just felt that we were too expensive and too slow to work with in an incredibly dynamic time in their life cycle. So really, at the end of the day, complexity was the fundamental problem.
Okay. Ogilvy has lost a few talented people over the past few months, especially Tham Khai Meng.
Yeah.
What did Tham Khai's exit mean for Ogilvy?
Well, I mean, it was an unfortunate situation where we parted ways under a difficult set of issues, but we thought we made a decision that was true to our values and true to what we believe in and what we promise our people in terms of what's expected of them. I wrote in the note when Kai left that we ask every employee in the company to sign a code of conduct every single year. And there's nobody too senior or too important to not be held accountable to that code of conduct. And so while it was unfortunate and sad for us, I feel as though we made a decision that was very important for our brand and the promise we make to our people.
Okay. Ogilvy, also, whenever I used to have like this final day conversation with Sir Martin Sorrell on, the last day of Cannes Lions every year, he would speak of Ogilvy very highly and, as an agency setup, as a creative powerhouse. What did Sir Martin's exit from WPP mean for Ogilvy and for you as a person?
I lost a boss. Martin, I've known Martin since WPP acquired Ogilvy and Mather back in the late 80s. And I started working for Martin when he asked me to become the chief executive of Ogilvy nearly 3 years ago. He was unbelievably supportive of me throughout my career. So Martin, for me, is a loss. But that said, WPP is so much bigger than one person. And I think what we've learned since Martin has left is that WPP has amazing talent, amazing capabilities. It has to evolve and change for all the reasons that have been well reported. Lots of new competitive pressures, more demanding clients who are looking for more value for their agency services. And I think we now have a new leadership team who is totally committed to doing whatever it takes to make WPP better and stronger for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Many of us miss Martin, but I think we all have a sense of obligation as well. He created an amazing company, and we just have to take it to the next level, and that's our responsibility.